Okay, I think masa dah ni dah, kita boleh mula Dr. Aman?
Ya, okay.
Okay. Alright, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sebelum kita mulakan program kita pada petang ini, kita buka dengan bacaan umum kitab. Semoga Allah memberkati program kita pada petang ini. Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya kan. Amin. Okay, we would like to remind all the attendees to mute your mic throughout the session. And if you have any question, please type in the chat box and I address the speaker at the end of the talk. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon to all the attendees. On behalf of TNCPI office, I would like to welcome everyone to the second UiTM PRGS 2022 Drive webinar series, Productizing Relentlessly to GRU Status. So this webinar series is a joint collaboration between Renew and RMC UiTM. Just for your information, this is the second out of 3 UiTM PRGS Drive webinar series. Yesterday we have the first speaker series. The speaker was from Prof Sarani from UKM. She is the head of PRGS SNT Mohd panel, and tomorrow will be the third one. And the talk will be by Prof Datin Ruzi, also from UKM. She is one of Mohd Social Science panel, PRGS panel. Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Abdul Hadi Abdul Razak, and I'm coordinator of Cyber Technology Research Nexus UiTM. I'll be your moderator for today's online webinar. So today we are fortunate to have Associate Professor Dr. Aman Muhammad Ihsan Mamat as our guest speaker. Basically, he will be sharing his personal experience in winning PRGS grant and successfully completing the grant. Okay, to be more specific, Dr. Aman obtained a PRGS grant amounting to 207,000 ringgit Malaysia, with the project entitled Development of Electric Turbo Compound Prototype for Exhaust Energy Recovery. So before I invite our speaker, let me just briefly share Dr. Aman's background. So Dr. Aman is an associate professor at School of Mechanical Engineering in College of Engineering, UiTM Shah Alam. Dr. Aman was graduated with bachelor degrees in Mechanical Aeronautic from University Technology Malaysia, UTM, in 2001. Master specialized in Aeronautical Engineering from Supeiro, now INSA, Toulouse, France, and PhD in Mechanical Engineering from Imperial College, London in 2012. So currently, Dr. Aman is the head of postgraduate program research at the Institute of Postgraduate Studies, IPSis, UiTM. Dr. Aman started his academic career in the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering since October 2004, and his research interest is in energy recovery and turbo machinery. Okay, Dr. Aman, so without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Aman to give his speech entitled Winning a PRGS Grant, It's Doable. Dr. Aman, the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you very much to Associate Professor Dr. Hadi, and then thank you also to Renew and RMC for organizing these webinar sessions, which is, I believe that the session is not just for the PRGS, but as well for the FRGS, and then many speakers that have been invited. The speakers mostly panels, FRGS, reputable panels for the FRGS, PRGS. So, but for me, I think the sharing session, I'm not a fully for working group for the KPT panels. But some of the information that I will give you is sharing information that what I have experienced, what I have done, how that I have prepared my PRGS grant. Okay, so I hope that my session sorry, Dr. Hadi, for your introductory about myself, and then let me
Dr. Aman, your mic is mute, nah? Dr. Aman? Oh, okay.
all right. Yeah, okay, sorry. So this is what, if you can see from the figures, this is what my electric turbo compounding unit that we have developed for obtaining the PRGS research grant before. So the whole description of the details I will maybe I can share with you later on. Yeah. Okay. So this is a little bit about my background. As we mentioned, currently I'm head of the postgraduate studies for research program, and my research group in UiTM, my RIG research interest group, which is this is a tier 4, which is efficient energy conversion technology research group. So the research group is currently headed by Associate Professor Dr. Wan Ahmad Najmi Wan Mohammed, and then among other members are Dr. Associate Professor Dr. Nick Rosley, Dr. Idris, and then Dr. Irni, Dr. Hassan, Dr. Al Hassan, and then Dr. Yusli from UiTM Pulau Pinang, and as well we have associate members, Associate Professor Dr. Raja Razwan from Faculty of Applied Science. So my research more on the energy recovery for the powertrain. So that powertrain can be divided up to the automotive powertrain, to the aircraft powertrain, which is more toward on the gas turbine, and as well for the ship, for the marine. But I'm not that much focusing on the marine, only that associate with the internal combustion energy type of the powertrain for the marine, where the focus to be more focus of the powertrain is more, my research is more toward on the applying of the energy recovery in order to increase the cycle efficiency of the engine, whereby the energy recovery process that being implemented for my research interest is toward applying the turbo machinery applications. Yeah, so this turbo machinery application is what I've done, is the developing of the electric turbo compounding. So where is actually my research has been developed, which is actually it was started when I did my PhD in mechanical engineering in Imperial College, whereby my research work for my PhD is on the energy recovery by using the development of the electric turbo compounding. So when I come back to UiTM, I'm continuing my research work, and then I have applied for my FRGS, and then which is extending of my research work from my development of the low pressure turbine for the electric turbo compounding. And then that was in 2014. But before that, I also have applied for ERGS grant. That time, experimental research grant under the KPT as well. But now the ERGS have been eliminated and then been put together with the FRGS. Okay, so and then but my ERGS grant is more on the energy recovery, but for organic runtime cycle. So, but for my FRGS fundamental research of my PhD work, I did for the improvement for the low pressure turbine to increase the aerodynamic performance so that the efficiency of the energy recovery process can be much better from the previous or baseline of the low pressure turbine. And then after that, after completed my FRGS grant, which is I think in 2015, yeah, I completed my FRGS grant. And then in 2016, I applied for the PRGS, which is the extension of the fundamental research grant for my development of the low pressure turbine. And then I extend that into expanding of my through electric turbo compounding, where it is a prototype development for the ETC unit. Yeah. So if you like to know about my research work furthermore on my research work, you can go to my Google Scholar and as well to my ORCID account so that you can see all my publications. Okay. So yeah, so that's my little bit about my research background. If you would like to join our interest, our RIG, efficient energy conversion technology, or if you want to collaborate with our research group, then you can contact with my contact number, or you can email me to know further. Okay. All right. So the presentation that I'm going to give you today is more toward on the learning experience that I have obtained, and as well since my research grant, my PRGS grant, I had obtained it in 2016, where the requirement, the outline, the guideline, the process and the procedures is not different, but the guideline, the requirement, the deliverables, the outcome, a little bit different from what they have had for this 2022. Okay, and so I have to retune my presentation, my the content that I'm going to give you, because some of my presentation in 2016 and what I have shared with all the applicant before that, I was also being invited by the RMC in 2017, I think, or 2018. And some of the information, some of the, some of the processes that I have done are not valid anymore. So that I have to refer most of my presentation today to the current requirement, yeah? So which is available online, and as well I think the RMC also have given this garis panduan scheme grant penyelidikan PRGS to all of us. Okay, so you can refer to that garis panduan as well, but I will explain to you a little bit what is the content inside, and then what I have gone through from this garis panduan, and then what I have experienced from this garis panduan. Yeah, and then as well, after I have secured the PRGS and as well FRGS, so I also have been appointed as the FRGS and PRGS panels, both at the UiTM and as well at the KPT level, at the Mohd level. So at Mohd level, I have been appointed as the panel for the FRGS, and which is in the energy research group, energy cluster. And then also I have been appointed as the KKP Consortium Kecemerlangan Penyelidikan panel for the Mohd, for the KPT, since 2020 and 2021 to evaluate the research proposal for the Consortium Kecemerlangan Penyelidikan, which is the a part of way of the how that the universities, the KPT that giving the research grant to the COE of the universities before or in order for them to boost their research work in order for them to go for the high COE applications. Okay. So some of that experience, and then as well for presentation that I obtained for other panels from PRGS and FRGS panel from the Mohd. And as well my own experience as PI for the PRGS as the principal investigator. Before this, little bit information. I also members for one completed PRGS, which is the development of the blended wing body, which is the principal investigator for that PRGS grant was the Professor Dr. Wirahman Wisnon. So I also learned from Prof. Wirahman, and then also from my PRGS member for the blended wing body from the FETCC research group. And PRGS research grant that I have obtained, and then finally as a panel for the PRGS in UiTM level. So some of the evaluation sample from the evaluation I will give to you. Okay, so I will share with you guys how that the not just with the application process, but as well how the evaluation process goes. Before I proceed with overall content, okay. So this is the cycle, the PRGS ecosystem cycle that you're going to have, yeah. From application, evaluation, progress monitoring until closure of your research grant. Okay, so if your application has been succeeded at UiTM level, the evaluation will be proceeded to the Mohd. You're going to, even in UiTM, you will have a presentation. You will present proposal, the panel of the expert panel from UiTM. And then as well, they're going to evaluate your research proposal based from the requirement as stipulated from the guideline that has been given. Yeah. And if your research proposal has been at least been ranked as recommended, your application will be forwarded to the KPT for further evaluation, where initially they will do the assessment, pre-assessment through the migrant, and if your application has been shortlisted, you will be called for the pitching or presentation. Okay, and then if you are succeeded, then some of the amendment that you have to do, especially about the budget. Okay, and then after that, you're going to resubmit again from the migrant for the final of your research proposal. And then based from your final research proposal, the stipulate whatever that you have put in your research proposal, such as the research objective, the deliverables, that going to be monitored by the Mohd panels. Yeah. So all this monitoring going to be conducted through the migrant, and as well that we call you periodical presentation. And then finally, you're going to and then you're going to prepare the final report. Okay. So each of these, I'm going to go going to present to you throughout the application stage, what you need to do, what is the requirement for the research proposal, what is the trick, what is the point of view of the panel as well, and for us in the point of view as the applicant. Okay. So actually, one of I attend my presentation today, you already have your PhD, and then you already completed your FRGS research grant, or you nearly completed your FRGS or research grant. Yeah, so your fundamental research grant is there, and then now it is time to upgrade that research grant. How that you're going to prove, how that you're going to ensure what that you have proposed in your research grant can be workable to be commercialization for the next stage. So this PRGS research grant is actually for us as a researcher, to go beyond of the fundamental research grant, and before we can do the commercialization aspect. Yeah. So with that conditions, the research proposal that we are going to prepare has to meet with their expectation, which means that the panel expectation, and as well what has been put in the guideline. So all what the guideline that has been approved. Okay, so if we follow that with a good ways, I mean, step by step, all the requirement, and then what we have put in the research proposal is convincing, simple. The panels can understand it easily, and then they can be the flow of the presentation for the PRGS grant is smooth. I believe that there is no way that your research proposal can be rejected. It can be, I mean, it's only the matter of the technical aspect only can make your research proposal to be rejected by the panels. Yeah. So this is my session outcome today. So I believe that most of us here are, we are lecturers, we are academicians. So each of our presentation, what the sharing experience that we're going to present to the student. So we should have something that what is the benchmark, what is we expected that the attendees to have to take home from this session. Yeah. So my first session outcome is that you will be able to understand the application procedure for the PRGS based from my point of view perspective. And then you can determine what is the point, what is the process, what is the point of view of the panels, so that when understanding the evaluation process, when you understand how to write the research proposal in the way of the guideline as stipulated by the guideline, and as well what is expected by the panel, by the evaluators, you will improve, you will do it well for your PRGS research proposal. Okay, and then that's why you're going to acknowledge the monitoring process, so that you're going to prepare. Okay, not just when you write the proposal, but as well if you succeed the securing the PRGS research grant, you going to be monitored by the KPT, so that I am from my experience, the monitoring process is is a little bit painful, but I think that you can manage, and you can do it throughout the progress work. Yeah. And then the final outcome is that you will prepare are going to look again. There will be panels, there will be jawatan kuasa that going to look for whatever that you have written in your proposal have been achieved or not. Yeah, so they're going to check the deliverables, your IP, and then as well they're going to look on the pre-commercialization business proposal, that pre-commercialization of research grant if you have. Yeah. Okay. So let's look for these 4 processes that I'm going to present you. So when I did my application for FRGS in 2012, 2013 last time, all the application are done manually. So we have to fulfill the manual form. And then until I think for my FRGS, that was 2014, 2015, something like that. Then the Mohd has come up with the migrant system. But the painful is that the migration of the system from the manual to the migrant system, whereby the monitoring, even though the FRGS has been closed many years ago, but in order for you to apply for the FRGS or whatever research grant that is coming, you have to make sure, even though it's already been closed a few years ago, 5 years ago, but as well that there's going to be a painful for you guys. I believe that there's going to be the system that the migrant that they have now. Okay, but make sure if you want to apply for this coming FRGS, you have to ensure all the research grant that you have before as a PI, so it has for this the writing the research proposal, what I have got experience, and then as well the requirement of the applying for the migrant. So if I just put what I have done in 2016, maybe it is already not valid because I have to update all the information and to suit with all the requirement that I have now. Okay. Okay. So bear in mind the winning strategy for the research grant. Okay. First is about the prototype development. What is the requirement for the prototype development? And then type that you're going to have is within 5 scope of the FRGS. What is the 5 scope of the FRGS? I think, this one, 5 scope of the FRGS. Proof of concept, evaluation, upskilling, preclinical testing, and the field testing. Okay? So if you are going to propose the element of the fundamental element, still that is a fundamental element in your research proposal, it is actually a knockout for your application. If you don't sure what kind of the theory that you're going to use, it is better to apply the FRGS research grant. So you better to go for the FRGS, or if you are new researcher, you go for the research grant. And it has to be a continuation from the other researchers, continuation from the previous research. Either it's FRGS, whether it is the racer or any previous researchers that been registered with the Mohd, and that it has to be completed or at least with a certain level. So I don't remember how much, 20, 90 or 80%, something like that, And then what is the finding from the completed research project that you have? For example, from what I have found for my fundamental research grant is that in order to increase the efficiency of the turbine blade for my energy recovery process, so there is a certain requirement that I have to have for my turbine blade. So in order to go for the next level, . ensure the schematic drawing is there. How is the layout for the prototype? So this is no, it is not about, you trying to find the dimension, you try to find the physical characteristic, no more. Okay, so this PRGS research grant is all about you going to produce a prototype. So which means that you also research objective, it is straight away go how that you're going to accomplish the prototype development. Okay, so there is no more fundamental element. Okay, and then as well, you have to be careful. Okay, so even though you will say that about 500,000, but I have to be honest with you, the approved amount of the budget will not be exceeded more than 200 or 250. So this is due to the several reasons. Yeah. So once let's say that from the Ministry of Perbendaharaan kita allocated about 400 million of the research grant. Okay, so for this for certain years. So throughout this 500 million or 400 millions, so they will be split into several research grants such as the TRGS, KKP, high COE, maintaining of the high COE, and then also the FRGS. Okay, so among the largest allocation for the research grant is on the FRGS research grant. Okay, and then from that research grant, which is depends on the domain that you're going to apply. Okay, so certain domain, like for example the technology, engineering and technology domain, there is a large application that is coming from this domain. According to their own calculations. Okay, so let's say that from 400 million that given to KPT, and then 200 million has been allocated for the FRGS. Okay, so 200 million has been allocated for that. There will be a group for the TK Teknologi dan Kejuruteraan. Let's say because it's a large amount from that TK research domain, so that TK research domain will be allocated the highest number. Let's say that from 200, they obtain about 50 million. Okay, so from this 50 million, there are normally there are about 2,000 to 3,000 applicants for each year. So if if that 50 million be divided, let's say if we put a cap about 100,000, so how many applicants that going to obtain? So 50 million divided by 100,000, that will be, I think, 50 million. So that will be about 500. So 500 above 2,000, there will be the successful candidate, which is about 5/20, which is about 20%. So that's why we see that throughout the FRGS research grant, the succession rate for, I think, for the last previous years, about 12% to 15%. Okay, and most of the budget that you've been approved is about nearly about 100,000. Okay, so because that's how that they work on, yeah. And then as well for the PRGS as well. So even though you are working, you say that it's going to be this research proposal required to have about 400,000. But if you think that it is a worth for 200,000 for the government to spend, then whatever that you're going to put in that, you have to make sure that you have delivery, you the caps was the cap is the 500,000. So initially my research grant in the initial stage was about evaluation process. That budget has been cut down until I think about I think I have to turn off my. So Prof Guy said that the transmission is not that good, the bandwidth is not that good. Yeah, so I will turn off my video. So in order to ensure the presentation going to be small. Okay, so with that, from 400,000 we cut to I think about 250,000. Okay, and then I did my presentation at the KPT with the panels. I think Prof Ani and then Prof Latif and then Prof Hamidi. So the budget has been cut, and then I quite impressed because what I have obtained that is not that much of the budget cut, which is from 250,000 and then be cut to 207,000. Okay, so when you do the presentation, you have to justify why you need to have this much money and then what you're going to spend for that allocation. Okay. All right. So before we go further, okay, so that you have to understand what will be the philosophy, what is the definition, and what is the purpose of this PRGS research grant, so that when you write the research proposal, you don't waste your time explaining different things. Okay, so you just go straight forward. What is the requirement of the PRGS? Okay, so you don't have to go. I mean, if there is still fundamental element for your research, so please don't put in that. So the PRGS is absolutely for proof of concept, for the penilaian, for the evaluation, for upskilling, for preclinical testing, and as well for the ujian lapangan, for the field testing. So throughout of this PRGS, when you explain, when you write your research proposal, it has to tally with the definition of the PRGS. Okay, and then you have to look as well on the outcome of what the research outcome that you're going to deliver. Okay, so that we go up to the fundamental. Okay, so this fundamental is actually to reach to bridge the what that you have done for the fundamental, and then to bridge it to the commercialization aspect. Okay, and then what kind of the commercialization, what kind of the the content, the research outcome that is expected. So the research outcome that has been expected is some kind of the K economy and the implementation of the new economic model. Okay, so this is we're going to look on the KEGA. So when you write the research proposal, you have to correlate. You have to put your research outcome as the technological innovation that going to meet with this K economy and to this model economy baru. Okay, so sometimes it's going to look some quite bombastic, but we have to ensure that whatever that we are proposed for our research outcome, it is going to be an impact for the other perspective of the surrounding, whether it's going to be academia, whether it's going to be impact for the environment, whether it's going to be impact for the society. So all of this you have to provide in the research proposal, which is in the executive summary and as well in the research outcome or niche area when you write in the migrant. Okay, and then as well the purpose. Okay, so to bridge to to bridge the gap between the laboratory to the commercialization aspect. Yeah, right. So where I get the source, which is actually from the Garis Panduan PRGS. Okay, Pindaan tahun 2022. So you have to understand the essence of the PRGS before you write the research proposal. Okay, so the scope for the PRGS that they are looking are 5. First is the proof of concept. So let's say that you have in your fundamental research grant. Okay, so for my perspective is that is about the aerodynamic determination, which are the best performance map, and then what kind of the physical requirement in order to meet with that performance. Okay, so that has been settled. All the fundamental aspect has been settled from the previous research. Okay, so now that fundamental, whether it is evaluated throughout the theoretical simulation, or there will be simple experimentation work. Okay, so from the FRGS research grant. Okay, so now I'm going to develop this actual component, a prototype component that will attach assembler or complete. For my case, there will be never complete because uh, if I talk about the turbo compounding, yes, complete turbo compounding, but the application of that turbo compounding is for the automotive. So the whole idea is that to put that electric turbo compounding in the car. Okay, so when we go for that, that is already technology demonstrator. Okay, so there is another one that which is called as the technology demonstrator in the perception of the industry ways. Yeah, but for this proof of concept to show that we are proof the performance map that can be obtained from this solution that we provided, provision that have been hypothesized from the FRGS research grant. Okay, and then evaluation of your prototype. Okay, or you're going to have upscaling from the laboratory work to the actual or to the certain aspect. Yeah, or you're going to have for the preclinical testing for the output that you have, and as well for the field testing. Okay, so when you write the objective and as well the outcome of your research proposal, all of the aspect has to show that it's going to meet with this PRGS scope and requirement. So if you're going to, for my case, for example, the development of the electric turbo compounding. So the research proposal, the research objective will directly tally to the development process. Okay, so that all the words that are going to be used for achieving of the proof of concept has to be tallied. Okay, or if you are going to look for the evaluation of your research work, then the research objective that you're going to put must go to the must tally to this evaluation process, must go to the ultimate goal, which is to have the evaluation process. Okay, or if you're going to have for the field testing, so all the objective will harmonize, will go on the field testing scopes. Okay, all right. Before we go in details, this is actually the research domain that has in the my grant. I believe that you already familiar, but what I'm going to tell you here is that you have to choose the right research domain.
in order for you to be, secure, to be more chances of the succession. Okay, you have to look whether the research work is sometimes your field nature of the faculty doesn't replicating on the research domain that you're going to work. Okay, pure and applied science, technology and engineering, clinical and health sciences, social sciences, arts and applied arts, natural and cultural heritage, information and communication technology. So this is more toward the nature of the research work that you are going to do. So sometimes it's going to be differ from the nature of your faculty. Okay. So for example, if what I'm doing, okay, so let's say that, let's say that I'm going to have a system where it will be tracked on the automotive engine performance. Okay, so this tracking system, which is more toward the development of the bandwidth, more toward the development of the processing or decision making. Yeah. So and then how that, for example, this powertrain system is more on the battery, on the electric vehicle. Okay, so if the electric vehicle per se, the technology, how that the heating process, how that the power generation from the battery, and then power generation from the how that the driven from the motor, how the dynamic system. This is about if I'm write a research proposal for that, if we go to the technology and engineering. However, if I'm apply the decision making, for example, if I'm driving an electric vehicle, okay, and then in order to make a decision, okay, to change the gear from gear 1 to gear 2, and then how that the transformation of the information to the user, the transformation of the decision to make, or is it going to be autonomous decisions? So that kind is actually not for the technology and engineering perspective, because most of the panel from the technology and engineering perspective, they actually looking from the different perspective way of how the nature of the research proposal will look. Okay, so in my opinion, it is more toward information and communication technology rather than on the technology and engineering. So when you apply it for the PRGS or even for the FRGS, you have to ensure that the application, the nature of your research framework, whether it is to be more on the information and communication technology, or is it going to be technology and engineering, or is it going to be on the pure and applied sciences? Okay, so and as well, choosing the right domain also going to you will have respect. Dedicate of the panel will be more, related to your research area. So it will be more fair compared that if you miss or if you another research cluster that also has been you have to choose whether it's going to be a basic infrastructure, food security and safety, health, national security, frontier technologies, and advanced manufacturing, climate change, environment, education, knowledge, civil society. So all of these, I think this will be derived after after you derive your research domain, okay, and then you select the research cluster that you're going to have, and then Another important things that you have to select is about the MIST, Malaysia Science, Technology, Innovation and Economy. I think this is about the KEGA. So energy, business and financial services, culture, arts and tourism, medical healthcare, smart technology, smart cities, transportation, water and food, agriculture, forestry, education, environment and biodiversity. So this is also going to reflect on the panel for your research proposal. Okay, and then sorry, this is the KEGA, yeah. So the apa nama tu, Wawasan Kesejahteraan Malaysia tahun 2030, ya, Shared Property Vision 2030. So KEGA 1 until KEGA 18. Okay, so you have to select. This is how that they're going to map for the, I think, for this key economic development growth. So inisiatif-inisiatif yang dibuat daripada Mohd, macam mana kita apa nama tu di translation daripada government punya perspektif, going to put in what that the university going to support. Okay, so for example, if you are going to develop for the Islamic finance financial health monitoring system from the Islamic finance perspective, then the research work that you're going to develop is supporting to them, yeah. And then also you're going to have for the renewable energy, green economy. So for my perspective, I will be on the energy, and then we go for the renewable energy perspective, yeah. All right. So as well, you have to look on the SDG. Oh, sorry, this is 15. KEGA is 15. For the SDG, you have to look as well. 18 SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, which section it is suit for your research work. Okay. All right. So this is about the next section that the first one is that you determine. Okay. The research proposal, we have gone through the winning strategy, and then selecting the research domain that you're going to focus on for your development of the prototype. Okay. Now, it is about the research title. Normally, for the research title is about the summative, the perspective of the research work that you're going to do. Okay. So normally we're going to determine our research proposal title will be last. Okay, you akan betulkan research title from time to time, so that it will tally, it will replicate, it will represent the whole body of your research work. Okay, so research title, one of the best way is that to write in short, simple and concise, and it replicate the level of work for the PRGS. Okay, so the best way is that to go straight development of the prototype, development of or upscaling the something. So you go straight away to the scope of the PRGS requirement. Okay, or field testing of the something, yeah. And then as well, it has to be attractive. Okay, so some of the bombastic work might be work, but too much of the bombastic works is is not that good. Okay, and then as well, the title has to be significant to the research work that you're going to do, and then it will comprises of the research area. Okay, it will replicate, it will comprise the research area that we're going to have, and then it summarize the research framework. Okay, so when anybody read about the research title, they already can imagine what will be the what going to be the objective, what going to be a method that going to be replicate from this research work. Okay, so it is actually the research title is the summary of the research framework, and it is a summation of the research executive summary. Okay, and then as well, you can determine whether it's going to be type of research, which domain it has to be looking on. Okay, which domain that it will be sit on. Okay, whether it's going to be say that previously what we have whether going to be pure science, going to be technology, or going to be natural and cultural heritage. Okay, so through this research title, which is actually the panel, the reader can already differentiate what kind of the research work that involved in that that has been given by that research title. Okay. And then research summary is important. So it's generalized, okay? So when you write your research proposal, okay, so the first thing that the panel going to read is the research title, okay? So when they read, it's already replicating, give them the idea of what is overall. And maybe most of the time, sorry, this is not maybe, there's a definitely the chairman for the cluster going to read the research title. Okay, so bila dah habis evaluation di peringkat universiti, so research proposal yang telah recommended tadi, the recommended research proposal will be forwarded to KPT. And what have been had there is actually the it will be sorted according to the research domain, okay, and then the head for the research domain will read the research title, and then it will be assigned to the panels of the research grant. Okay, so if you can imagine that there will be hundreds of the research title that going to be assigned. And the assignment process, most of the time, the main thing that have to be referred is your research title. Okay, so that you have to ensure it is summarized the research type, and as well, it will help this head of the research domain to assign the relevant panel of the evaluator. Okay, so the relevant panel. So if the wrong assignment to the because of the misunderstanding for the research area that research type that you have given, so you know you will not get a fair evaluation from the panel, because we cannot blame the panel itself, themselves, because maybe because the risk is not very familiar with that research area. Okay, so it is the best that the research proposal will be read by the subject matter expert. Okay, about the research title, but for the research summary after that, it will definitely read by the panel. Okay, so research summary is very important because it will replicate, it will summarize the whole body of the your research proposal. Okay, so the research summary usually about we say that about 150 words to 250, or more or less about 400 words. Okay, so it is where you put all the it's like you write the research abstract. Okay, so without reading the whole body of the publication, without read the whole body of the journal, so you can just read the abstract, that you can imagine what has been what is the issues that going to be presented by the author. Okay, so similarly with the research proposal, the summation of the research is can be read from the research summary section. Okay, So when you write the research summary, it has to be comprehensive, and it will make the panel easier to understand what you are presenting in the research proposal. Okay, so this is my way of writing the research summary. Okay, I don't want to put what I have written for my research proposal, but this is my way. Yeah, so the sequence of writing the research summary. Okay, so firstly is that you introduce the generalized or well-known issues. Okay, for example, the let's take about my case. Yeah, it's about the carbon emissions. Okay, so the carbon emission release in Malaysia is about blah 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 certain numbers. Okay, so or we can say that the carbon emission will increase the greenhouse effect. So that is a general when issues. No quotation required. Okay, it's a general issues. Okay, and then we go straight continuation, go to the specific problem that you are going to solve, okay, or the related problem that you want to deal with. Okay, so this specific problem statement, okay, so from the carbon emissions and then the come, so the high carbon emission is in the electric or the high carbon emission in the internal combustion engine is due to the low performance of the low performance of the energy conversions of the from the combustion to the powertrain. So it's a straight problem statement. Okay, and then you go if you are writing for the FRGS. Okay, if you are writing for the FRGS, we're going to put the hypothesis or the theory that we're going to implement. Okay, so if you are writing for the FRGS, but if you're writing, this is a different. If you're writing from the perspective of the PRGS, okay, you're going to put what are the previous research has found. Okay, so we say that the research of energy recovery by using the electric turbo compounding has been proven that it can, it has been theoretically proven that it can improve the engine performance by 5% or something like that. Okay, by 5%. Okay, it's a straightforward. Okay, so this is the main essence from the summary of the FRGS research grant or previous research grant. Okay, so and then you go to the main objective of the research proposal. If you're looking for the PRGS, so you just mentioned if my preference, if I have 3 research objective for the research proposal, so I will select what will be the prominent objective. So this prominent objective is my main objective for the research proposal. Okay, so I will state directly, straightforward sentence. The main objective of this research, this research is to develop a proof of concept or to develop a prototype to make a proof of concept for the energy recovery by using the electric turbo compounding. So maybe you can suit with what you have think for your research proposal. Okay, so I believe that when I'm explaining about the what of I've done for my research proposal, you can think about your own research work. Okay, if I teach for my PhD student, if I also did for Time Square, so which is actually I will do the 2 ways of interaction. I will ask, I will have the ice breaking. I will ask you what will be your research proposal, what is your research title, and then from your research title, I will explain what will be the possibilities, yeah, of writing the research summary. But from here, what I need you to do is that you just think about your research work. Okay, so how that you can improve. I believe that you have started to write your research proposal. Okay, but what I'm giving you today should be thanks to the RMC and Renew for organizing this, so that I can give you some, something that you can think about. Okay, so that when you go to your research proposal writing, you can think what way this about my method, about my opinion on the research proposal writing, especially for the FRGS. Yeah, sorry. So the next one, after you write the main objective, okay, so the main objective is, looking on the PRGS perspective, is to develop the prototype, or the main objective is to upscale the electric turbo compounding from 3 kilowatt to 50 kilowatt, something like that. Okay, or to have a clinical trial for the new COVID-19 vaccine that can fight with the Delta variant, something like that. Okay, and then you briefly describe about the research methodology. So what may be the essence of the research methodology that you're going to have? So it's going to be maybe 1 sentence, 2 sentences, or 3 sentences. Okay, so it's not going to be much. Yeah, so 1 or 2 sentences going to be okay. Okay, but 3, 4 sentences, I believe that's going to be too much to explain about research methodologies. But unless otherwise, you have to explain a little bit. Okay, and then okay, so for example, okay, after the this proposal, this research proposal going to develop an electric turbo compounding for to prove that it can recover the low quality energy from the international from the scope from the 1.6 Campro engine. Okay, and then after that, the research methodology, you explained about research methodology. So the prototype will be developed by fabricating of the components. Okay, the fabrication will be conducted, blah 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 blah, and then will be assembly here, and then will be evaluated by using certain testing or something like that. It just goes straightforward of what you are going to do. Okay, so from this research is the proof of concept of the electric turbo compounding can recover the exhaust energy amounted from the range of this until the range of this. Okay, so the impact of the research will going to have a more high performance efficient energy with respect to the KEGA or whatever that been put in here. Okay, if you're looking at key economic growth, it will create a new commercialization. We create a new for the good logistic transportation, or it can, it is not about the renewable energy, but it will increase the engine performance and will reduce the amount of energy that's going to be used by the internal combustion engine. So this is toward of the green environment, something, and then you relate to the national agenda. Previously is about NKRA, but now you have to relate with this KEGA, key economic growth activity. So it is suited with the logistic transportation and sustainability, or it suited with the renewable energy under this. And you do a little bit homework. It's not just, my perspective is logistic transportation and sustainable energy and sustainable mobility. But under this KEGA perspective, what will be the element that be put under this KEGA. Okay, so that's you have to describe a little bit more. Okay, all right. So I think that's all for the research summary. Okay, and then another important part is that this is the body of your research proposal, which is about the detailed planning. Okay, the detailed planning will comprises of the research background, problem statement, description of prototype, description of the art, describe the contribution, activities of the future funding. Okay, so executive summary is where you're going to make the panels to impress. You're going to make the panel to imagine your idea, okay, to put your constructive idea into the panel's point of view, okay. So you're going to dominate the idea of certain things into the panel, okay. So through this executive summary is that you try to impress the panel of what is your research proposal is all about, okay. So if your executive summary is not impressive enough or difficult to be understand, okay, then the details planning will be more difficult for the panel. Okay, why? Because in the details planning of the research proposal, it is more comprehensive. Okay, so certain researcher they try to give an overload information for the panel. So this is where the problem come in, and the problem to describe the problem to explain in the very simple ways. Okay, so because when writing the research proposal, when evaluating of the research proposal, for me, for example, at the UiTM level, okay, for the PRGS, my record is that I have evaluated at one time 20, 30, I think about 25, 27 research proposal that have to be done within 2 weeks. That's for the FRGS. Yeah, for the PRGS, I have to read it one time and then come for the presentation. Okay, so the point is that the words, the continuation of research things that you're going to put here, it has to be as simple as possible and straightforward. It is different from this research proposal for postgraduate student. So research proposal for the postgraduate student has to be very descriptive and very systematically describe of what the student going to do. But in the PRGS and FRGS is different because the way that you learn when you do your PhD has to be summarized, and when you present it to the other people, it has to be specific and straightforward. Okay, the essence, you only present the essence of what, for example, you just is the previous finding. Okay, so I'm sorry that is a typo. What is the previous finding? Okay, so what is the the summary? What is the finding of the previous research? Okay, and then how that the developing of this prototype can continue your research work and can bring into the another step for the pre-commercialization. Okay, so the pre-commercial years, I see that the requirement has been increased one level up. Okay, so that's you know, that's the thing. So the requirement, the level, the bar has been increased from years to years. Yeah, and then the problem statement. Okay, so how to write a good problem statement? So this is a debatable. Okay, so one lecturer, one supervisors want to do it this way, one prefer it this way, but you are writing research proposal for the research grant. Okay, it has to be specific on the issue. Okay, specific on the issues. The problem statement will not will not giving about the world issues. It's not giving about the generalized issues. For example, a generalized problem statement is that the carbon emission will produce a greenhouse effect. So that is a very, very generalized problem statement. Okay. My preference of writing the problem statement is that you write in the specific way. If you are thinking about the electric turbo compounding, what is the problem of this electric turbo compounding? Okay, so the specific problem of the electric turbo compounding is that the magnetization of issues, because the energy, the heat can be transferred, because if you look and academicians, when I'm explaining, I will sketch something. Yeah, so this is my turbine. Yeah, so this is my turbine turbo. Okay, so the exhaust is coming here. Okay, right, and then we go out here. Okay, so if you want to imagine how hot is the exhaust, you're going to look in this picture. Okay, so this is the engine testing that I have conducted. So this is the turbocharger. You see that the turbine for the turbocharger is glowing. Yeah, so the temperature exit of the exhaust at that particular time is about 11,000 Kelvin. So it's about 900 degrees Celsius. Okay, so kalau kena kulit terbakar, so you imagine that with 1,100 Kelvin heat in here, it will be travel into this part. Okay, so this is electric generator. So inside of this electric generator, okay, inside of this electric generator comprises of the magnet. Okay, so if you look in here, this is a magnet. Okay, this is a magnet. Okay, so this is a rotor. This is a rotor magnet, and here put with the coil. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, so with this, it required with a large amount of the energy that has to be dissipated from this electric turbo compounding. Okay, so what I might proof of concept here is that with the dual stage of the cooling system, okay, one stage is to cool the turbine, and another stage is that to protect the heat from traveling. So we have a two-stage cooling. Okay, so with the specific problem statement of the demagnetization from this research work, okay, that will reduce the performance of the electric generator. Okay, so the problem statement has to be specific and tackle with the issues that you're going to have it. Okay, and in the next step is that you have to describe the prototype. How that the prototype, the originality, the innovation strategy that you're going to have, the innovations, are there already available in the market? No, there is no commercialized electric turbo compounding, but there are few researchers, competitors that are looking for the energy recovery by using the electric turbo compounding. But their ways of energy recovery are different from what is proposed because the issues that they face by these demagnetizations. Okay, so the innovativeness of this electric turbo compounding is by using the dual stage of cooling systems. Okay, so this is how that has been described. Okay, and then I put this is something else difference. Yeah, how is the competitor looking on these issues? How that the other perspective? But what I'm trying to put in here is that the value proposition, which is the value proposition, is that how that your prototype will be solved, will be meet with the consumer's requirement, will be met by the user's requirement. How that you going to describe your research prototype will help the user satisfy the need. Okay, and then how the approach of the research outcome can help them. Okay, so this is how that I summarize this. Actually, there are a few things more for the description of the prototype. Yeah, but I like to have the idea of the value propositions where you look on the user's perspective requirements and what that you can give to the user by using your prototype, by using your research outcome. Okay, and then how does it differ from your competitor? Okay, so you just give a 3 to 4 points of that. Okay, so for example, for my perspective ways, okay, the automotive manufacturer need to increase or need to consume an energy so that it can be used for other utilities. Okay, you can vehicle manufacturer perspective. Yeah, but the main goal is actually to reduce the fuel consumptions. But in order that a small perspective is that the user needs what will be the benefit for the user. Okay, so with continuous 1 kilowatt of energy power, it can be generated, it can be stored, and it can be used as a power on demand. Okay, and with the solution that be provided by the research outcome, okay, so the electric turbo compounding with the continuous power output, it will store the energy, it will deliver the energy to the ultra capacitor. So they can have the power on demand requirement. Okay, so description of the arts, the user requirement, the user needs. What is the market size? Okay, competitor, the alternative. So how does that differ from what that you have given here to the other alternative solutions? Okay, describe the contribution in terms of the wealth creation, enhance the quality of life, and consolidate the new industries. Okay, so if you look here, when they are doing their evaluations, this is a one part. It's going to be difficult. Dr. Hadi, I have 30 minutes.
Yes, roughly around 30 minutes left.
Sorry, I'm a lecturer, so I thought this is a lecturing, yeah. Sorry. So when they did the evaluations, yeah. So prototype development can contribute. So that will contribute 10%. Wealth creation, enhancement of quality of life, and create of consolidate in new industries. Okay. So all in all, you must work thoroughly on the detailed planning here. Okay. Because there will be a point that going to be evaluated by the panels. Nanti kita akan tengok dalam evaluation process. Okay, so 30 minutes. And then so this is I believe that everybody knows you have your postgraduate students. You use this philosophy already. Research objective, short, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. So how to ensure that? That is the problem. And how to make sure that it is as according to the PRGS. Okay? And I will put another two more, which is the research objective is the bridge between the research questions. That research question also developed by the research hypothesis. But in case of the PRGS research proposal, it is linked from the previous finding. And then, how that you relate your research objective to the methodology. Okay, so saya rasa semua pun faham, everybody knows, everybody understand. You have become as the RP panel for the research student, panel for the thesis. Okay, so I believe that you already know how to make sure how to write your research objective according to SMART philosophy. Short, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. Okay, so if you don't know how to write on the SMART, then I think you can contact me. So that is my phone number, that is my email, and then how to ensure that the research objectives as according to the SMART. So if you're still struggling in achieving the SMART research objective, so you can contact me, then maybe we can coach, maybe I can coach you how to write it in the as according to the SMART requirement. Yeah. And usually for the PRGS, okay, we go straight on the perspective that you are going to do from the main objective. So such as for the SMART, it has to start with develop, fabricate, evaluate, to design, to scale up. Okay, and then I'm not familiar with the clinical, so I'm sorry that I cannot give what will be the good word or the friendly word for the objective for the clinical. Yeah, I'm not that kind of familiar for the clinical perspective, but maybe you can refer to those who had, or maybe you can refer to Prof Bakar or something. Okay. Okay, so this is usually what we put, especially for technology and kejuruteraan, yeah? TNK domain, to develop, to fabricate, to evaluate, to design, to scale up. To develop, blah blah blah. But to develop is a little bit generalized, yeah. But usually I will try to put to fabricate and to assemble, because throughout the processes, actually for the proof of concept to develop the prototype, you need to fabricate, and then you need to assemble, and then you need to evaluate. Okay, so this is all that the friendly words that you can use for the research objective in the PRGS. Okay, and then from the research objective, you have to describe it, translate it into the methodology. So in the very simple way, methodology is where you describe how to achieve the research objective. Okay, so in the methodology perspective, it has to be a very description about the research objective. It gives you sufficient details on how the research going to be conducted, include the technique, the method, the step. Yeah, but for PRGS, the method is not that much. Yeah, it is more on the step, how that you're going. Maybe if you're looking on the system development, maybe the method, the decision making, maybe you can have that. Yeah, but for the engineering, if you're going to develop a prototype, is more toward the step. Okay, and here the description. What have you found in the previous research? Okay, so in my case, in the description, I also have included the technical drawing. I also included the schematic diagram. Okay, so usually technical drawing, schematic diagram is very familiar for the engineering perspective, but I think that's not going to limit for the other domain to use that. Yeah, so schematic diagram is quite, actually schematic diagram is just a table of layout. In the non-social science, in the social science perspective, it is more toward the framework. How that the overall, for my case, how that the overall layout for the testing, how that overall layout for the electric turbo compounding. Okay, so if you are in the engineering, how that the schematic of the electrical circuit. Okay, but if you just look on the electrical circuit, you're going to just see on the electric generator perspective per se. But now, if you combine with the mechanical component, so how that in the schematic diagram ways is going to give you. Okay, all right. So ada tak schematic diagram saya kat sini ya? Nanti saya cuba tengok. And then as well the drawing, because the description yang ke atas, you say fabricate. Okay, so if you do your PRGS presentation to me, you say that you're going to fabricate, so there will be a risk. Fabricate. So do you have any idea what you're going to fabricate? Okay, or when you're going to assembly your prototype, so how that you define your component of the assembly? Is it already been identified? Okay, so that's the thing that you have to describe in the methodology that you have. For assembly, to assemble blah blah blah. So the activities for the assembly, what going to be the activities for the assembly process? So that you can say by the end of the objective, you can say this is assemble. Yeah, so this is assemble. So how that you're going to put into this word? Okay, and then a flow chart. Appendix, a flow chart has to be, a professional flow chart. It's not undergraduate flow chart. Okay, and my preference to put the flow chart is that you relate the objective, methodology, and what you expected of the outcome. Okay, activities, methodology also we reflect on the activities. Okay, well, when will be the time frame? When are you going to conduct these activities? For example, fabricate. Yeah, so you have the milestone is going to be completed at this time, and what will be the supporting activities and when? Okay, and it has to relate with the budget. So that's we're going to talk later on. How to, macam contoh macam ni ya, you kata nak fabricate. Okay, so fabricate, which means that you require to have the technical drawing. And if you are going to order from something to assemble, okay, katakanlah you nak siapkan this assemble require 5 komponen. 3 komponen you have to order. Another 2 komponen you have to fabricate dekat lab sendiri. Okay, so dalam time frame and budget, untuk beli komponen, bila nak beli komponen, untuk fabricate komponen, bila nak fabricate komponen. So benda-benda gitu kena detail masuk, so that bila you masukkan dalam budget, you akan bagi budget pada waktu yang betul. Dia tidak akan bagi lari. So kalau you nak beli materials, it will be assigned at the right time. Sebab what I figure out now, KPT sekarang ni bila dia do the monitoring, katakanlah you dapat budget tu 200,000. So 200,000 dia takkan bagi, this is what I have seen, ya, tapi saya tak tahu, mungkin you kena tanya dengan orang RMC. Betul tak this information? But daripada yang saya nampak masa saya buat audit untuk ICOE, so sekarang ni ada trend yang budget tu dia pecah. Okay, katakanlah in first year you declare you dapat 200,000. First year you kata you nak 50,000. Second year you nak 150,000. Okay, tetapi as according to activities, first year you nak fabricate dengan you nak buat manufacturing dengan order. So kalau budget tu you letak di dalam second year, so dia tak sama lah. So kalau duit tu masuk 50,000, macam mana you nak move untuk buat you punya research work? So jadi the budget and activities has to be tally. Okay, and it is not seen that is going to be over budget, overspent, and then over too much on the budget materials. Okay, and then we're going to look on the milestones as well. So milestones is the goal that you're going to meet after you do the activities. Okay, so for example, fabricate, assemble. In order to assemble, you need to fabricate and then buy, purchasing or something like that. And your milestone, katakanlah untuk 6 bulan punya milestone, you dah siap satu assemble. Tapi in the activities, there will be another breakdown activities that will be according. So inilah benda-benda yang akan dimonitor oleh orang KPT nanti. Okay, alright. Okay, so this is my flow chart. This is how that my PRGS grant flow chart dulu. Okay, so I did this on my own. Okay, input, method, outcome. So you nak buat macam mana pun, whatever ni, tapi please make sure that your flowchart research work framework is not going to be macam final year project punya flowchart. Yeah. So for example, for this develop mathematical model for analyzing the energy rate of heat transfer, blah 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 blah. Okay. So this is not correct. Ini bukan yang finalized, ya. So heat transfer equation. So apa yang diperlukan daripada sini, and then what going to be the output, yeah. And fabricate. So in term of the PRGS, kalau you tengok yang ke atas ni adalah, this is a fundamental element. Okay, that is a fundamental element. So benda ni tak perlu ada. Masa tu saya tak pandai sangat, kan. Panel pun saya tak pernah jadi masa tu. So which is actually this is not right. Okay, so the second version benda ni dah tak ada. CFD model pun tak ada dah. Okay, ni pun dalam fundamental element. Okay, so yang kedua yang kita nak tahu adalah fabricate turbo compound unit and assemble. So this is the objective 1. Okay, and this is the objective 2. Okay, evaluation. Sebenarnya GT power evaluation ni, this is the point is that I have to make a proof of concept, lab proof of concept, and then kita dalam in the automotive section ni, the lab testing simulation itu adalah benda yang biasa. Okay, you buat dekat theoretical analysis, and then you pergi pada simulation, and then you do on the testing, and then after that, after the testing, prototype testing, then you have to come back kepada overall architecture. So this is what on the GT power engine simulation is going to do, because dia akan duduk balik this electric turbo compound. Kalau you tengok a very small the component that I've developed, which is actually, it is a part of the engine architecture that going to be put into your engine bay. So sebab itulah yang bahagian atas ni, yang last kali section ni adalah untuk collect balik that performance map and masukkan semula ke dalam engine simulation. Okay, tapi alhamdulillah dia boleh terima untuk that part. Tapi actually if you are going to say that this is just a proof of concept, dia hanya memadai dengan these two section. Yang last kali ni pun is optional. Okay, alright. So dah hilang macam ni, saya padamkan balik, ya. Okay, sebab tak boleh nampak nanti. Okay, so the flow chart, I'm quite particular with the flowchart actually. So when you submit the flowchart that look like your undergraduate level, so usually saya tolak, saya reject. Okay, because this flowchart masa saya belajar, masa saya PhD pun lagi, which is actually the flowchart, the research framework flowchart should be in straightforward and know what going to be your framework. Okay, my research flowchart is actually about my research framework. If we summarize, it will put all the requirement, all the research objective and the phase that going to be implemented and the activities yang akan ada. Kalau kita masukkan ni the time frame pun boleh ni. Kalau masukkan time frame ke berapa bulan ke berapa whatever, it can be come up with a time frame as well. Okay. Alright, so it's about the research framework. Then have the panels overview the research. Kalau kita nampak kat sini, okay, you boleh faham terus what will be the deliverables daripada input yang ada dengan method yang kita bagi. Okay, outcome dia apa? Okay, relate dengan research objective and methodology, and dia akan identify, state the outcome, and then bila you buat dalam milestone, you boleh masukkan terus dalam milestone tu apa yang akan dapat untuk that particular conditions, untuk that particular activities that you going to work on. Yeah. Alright. And then research framework daripada problem statement that you have, daripada objective, methodologies, flowchart, milestone. So this is the whole overall the details planning of your framework. Okay. So I believe, and it is interconnected. Daripada problem statement pergi kepada objective, methodology, flowchart, milestone. So you have to ensure that you score, you give to the panel, you describe it in a very simple word dalam bahasa Inggeris yang mudah. Yeah, it's not going to be complicated English. So sebab panel pun macam saya juga lah. I mean my level of English is not that high. Okay, so kalau you bagi yang apa nama tu, this is a panel perspective, yeah. If you give the panel hard to understand your research proposal, then the scoring pun akan it will affect your scoring. Okay, but in overall, okay, macam yang saya tunjuk sini, it has to be the storyline tu dia ada flow. Okay, objektif membawa kepada metodologi you describe balik dalam flowchart, and then that flowchart dia akan pergi kepada milestones. Okay, alright, so this is some of the example, okay, yang daripada saya punya itulah, okay, daripada objektif bawa kepada activities dan milestone. Yang saya punya yang ini tadi tu I have declared atas tu tak ada, yang bawahnya ada. Okay, right. So which is actually daripada the first proposal saya buat 3 objektif, and then the final proposal yang saya ada untuk saya punya as research plan dulu, daripada 3 objektif saya turunkan kepada 2 objektif saja, which is to produce the turbo compounding assembly straightforward and to evaluate the performance of the turbo compounding unit. So and then daripada situ derive macam mana prototype assembly completed, yang tu milestone, ya. And then that milestone is achieved from the research activity, fabricate, assemble, and then experimental setup, and then testing. Okay, so and then last kali sebab itu kita nak masukkan yang map tu semula ke dalam engine architecture. So that's why I have to use with this simulation of the engine architecture, masukkan balik dalam GT Power. Okay, if you're writing for the FRGS, make sure you didn't put the literature review dalam you punya activities. So usually I will slash, saya pun dulu pernah masukkan, tapi but when the time go by, we get the maturity on the way of writing of the research proposal. We know that writing the literature review is a continuous. Okay, jadi it's a must. So tak payah nak masukkan, people will understand it. So jadi tak perlu nak masukkan the literature review dalam you punya kancak ataupun research activities. So it's already known. Okay, unless otherwise you are conducting qualitative or something. That they're different ways. Yeah. Okay, so budget. Yeah, so ini adalah yang paling banyak issues. Okay, tapi if you follow what is the requirement, you baca dalam guideline, okay, you will insyaAllah. Okay. Alright, so details, budget has to be detailed and itemized and related dengan book. Kadang-kadang nak letak uni materials ataupun nak letak dalam accessories. Okay, so you nak tutup dekat mana? You nak put it where? Okay, where you going to put it? Kalau letak dekat accessories, this going to be asset. Kalau you jadikan benda ni sebagai assembly apa semua, usually assembly dia tak jadi asset lah, jadi barang pakai habis. Yeah. So ada pro and con dekat situ lah. Okay, so and as well it has to be a convincing amount. Banyak masa saya dah buat evaluation, even masa saya duduk awal-awal dah buat research proposal dulu so I will tell you, saya punya research proposal buat research proposal untuk grant ni bukan it's not one time saya menang terus, saya dapat terus but it's a lesson learned. Okay, daripada first sebelum saya dapat yang FRGS tu, so saya ada mohon juga yang FRGS. Okay, so pada masa tu dia ada FRGS, FRGS and then pergi pada PRGS. Mohon that, so mohon tak dapat and then mohon juga untuk ERGS. Mohon ERGS saya gunakan untuk another perspective of energy recovery by using the organic rangkaian cycle. Dapat pula benda tu. Okay, so dapat pula organic rangkaian cycle tu yang saya buat. Okay, so saya develop lah with the budget yang 63,000. I managed to make assembly untuk heat exchanger. Okay, saya gunakan ammonia water punya ni, and then student master pun dah completed. Very good student. And then dia develop daripada kosong sampailah ada assembly sampai working heat exchanger. Buat design pun design sendiri untuk heat exchanger. She's very good student. And then after that saya buat pula untuk my LPT balik. Saya upgradekan daripada saya FRGS, reapply balik. Okay, and at the same time that boleh dapat untuk FRGS. And then same time saya apply untuk PRGS untuk saya naikkan daripada organic rangkaian energy recovery. Okay, but unfortunately tak dapat. Tapi the point is that I put too much budget and then banyak benda lah yang which is dulu RMC at that time that is not like now that you have, so there is a saving session. Kalau tak dapat physical pun kita buat online, so it's quite limited information. Okay, and then kalau been guided by the senior pun dia apply je tak dapat juga kan, macam tu lah. So that the sharing information, how to get the budget is how to get the research grant is quite limited at that time. Okay, so alhamdulillah with this you take the opportunity to get lesson learned apa yang saya telah buat salah. Okay, so what I present to you is the point that you tackle the point yang diperlukan oleh panel-panel. Okay, alright, so convincing amount, that is keyword. Okay, so jumlah amount untuk satu-satu vote tu dengan jumlah amount of the materials itu relate dengan research activities, and then it is at the convincing amount. Okay, and another principle that we have to use, okay, kalau FRGS cap dia 1,000. So kalau you nak buat pun worklah dalam lebih kurang 100,000, melainkan unless otherwise you are very confident this is going to bring another level of the research. Okay, dia akan memberikan level yang lain di dalam research, akan membawa kepada satu level yang lain. Okay, and then the budget also related dengan activity. Macam yang saya bagi tahu tadi tu, activities yang kita nak ada dekat sini. Okay, budget this one for each of these dalam time frame ini, panel akan rujuk balik. This is year 1 ke this is year 2? Kalau you startkan year 2 tapi you kata nak fabricate pada pada year 1, then you akan beri masalah lah. Satu, bajet tak masuk, tak tally, and then keduanya kalau benda tu lulus, duit masuk second year padahal the first year you nak gunakan that, and then you ada monitoring. So jadi that has to be correct from the first place. Okay, and then you follow the guideline macam mana ceiling and capping, ada yang 5 perlukan this one, so masukkan. Okay, so dalam activities, for example fabricate, you nak perlukan pakai 3D printer, you masukkan, tapi nak beli 3D printer tu tak boleh. So how to use that? Guna professional. So daripada professional punya tu, you nak buat fabrication ni, tapi you tidak boleh membeli accessories untuk 3D printer. So bila saya buat panel punya evaluation, ramai yang applicant nak beli 3D printer, padahal dekat fakulti ni ada. So you have to declare apa equipment yang dah ada. Okay, apa yang equipment yang dah ada dekat you punya institution. Okay, so yang paling popular adalah
sorry to interrupt, Dr. Aman. Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Just roughly plus minus 10 minutes again. Just
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hadi. Alright. And then if you are buying materials and buying equipment, then or accessories, then it has to have the quotations. Okay. Okay, so yang ini yang you boleh go sendiri. RA limit dia 48,000 untuk tahun 1, tahun 2, okay, keseluruhan, and requirement RA bukan student. Domestic travelling less than 50%. Kalau 100,000 maknanya kurang daripada 15,000. Rental yang benda-benda yang related dengan activities. Okay, kalau saya fabricate, rental, contohnya macam ni, you nak fabricate untuk satu part komponen dan you memerlukan rental 3D printing. You rent the 3D printing. Tapi material 3D printing, masukkan material 27,000 tu dalam material untuk 3D printing. It's related, kan? Maintenance and repair. You nak sewa, perlu maintain, perlu repairkan 3D printer. So tengok juga macam mana, sama ada you boleh bayar untuk maintenance ataupun yang kita rentis tadi tu yang akan bayar, ataupun yang rental tu akan bayar. Okay, so look how that going to be distributed, yeah. So professional services nak buat hospitality, honorarium, consultation, sekali dia perlukan requirement, ada publication, so nak kena bayar untuk ni lah. Okay, adalah masa saya dulu, there is no requirement for the publication. And then as well as special service, consumable items, yang ni dia ada masukkan consumable items dalam professional service. And then item filing, which is limit dia adalah 15,000. Okay, and then accessory equipment, special equipment, as I mentioned before, kalau ada special equipment, you must have the quotation, and it must be less than 40% daripada total budget. Kalau 100,000, limit dia adalah 40,000. Okay, so again, yeah, expected outcome, prototype with at least level 3 punya prototype dalam teknologi readiness level. You boleh semak dekat guideline tu, dia ada level 1, level 2 untuk FRGS, level 3 dan single level 5 adalah untuk PRGS. And then after that, they also require you to go for the pre-com grant. Maknanya you kena pergi kepada Cradle ataupun Credit Grant ataupun Mosti Grant lah. And then IP. So ramai yang tersangkut untuk buat IP, tapi actually buat IP ni tidaklah susah. Okay, saya dah ada actually ada 2, tapi sebelum saya mohon kepada PRGS, saya dah ada track record untuk IP, and that we have applied the IP, which is actually for my PhD work, yeah. So that IP, first we go for the British IP, and then Europe IP, China, India, and then after that we got the US patent IP, yeah. So the experience yang ada tu help me a lot untuk prepare the document for the IP. So IP you akan dapat adalah ditulis untuk copyright, and then innovation technique, and then last kali IP. So IP tu yang standard level pada yang tinggi. Tapi actually when you apply for the IP, you present it to the BCom, and then BCom akan recommend untuk you pergi kepada patent lawyer. So the patent lawyer, you will work dengan patent lawyer untuk developkan apa nama tu di document. So in the document, dalam tu you have to prepare it very well. I mean, it's about how to translate from the technical ataupun from the researcher punya perspective into lawyer punya perspective way. So you boleh tulis dulu and then bagi kepada yang inilah Muhammad Irfan agent, patent lawyer, patent agent. So patent agent akan ni, and then actually bila saya buat filing and then do the apa nama tu patent search, bagi apa semua, what we get daripada there, which is actually pertamanya dia kata the result yang pertama dia kata this is technology innovation. Okay, but I don't want this technology innovation, and I believe that what I have presented here is this is worth for the IP. So we do the rebuttal. Okay, so my point is that when you apply for the IP later on, if you success or whatever you nak apply dalam IP, bukan setakat untuk PRGS, but bila you deal dengan patent agent, you must rebuttal what they have come up, I mean put it back to you. Okay, sebab dia akan rebuttal balik dengan IPO. Okay, so kenapa boleh diterima untuk patent IP. Okay, alright, so this is some kind of deliverables, apa yang expected. What kind of prototype? Okay, is a kit, tools ke? Macam saya tu adalah tools. Okay, kit, diagnostic kit, new plant variant, policy paper, system, equipment. Sorry, saya punya tu adalah equipment. Is it going to be a framework? Is it going to be a database system? Ataupun is it going to be an instrumentation? Okay, so this is amount of the deliverables that going to you going to put dalam you punya research proposal. Okay, scholarly output, postgraduate student, walaupun dia kata dalam tadi tu dalam apa nama tu PRGS, GR8 tidak boleh digunakan, tapi ada juga dia minta. Sometimes saya pun tak faham, kadang-kadang dia nak juga yang postgraduate student, ya. Kita dah train ke tak, tapi bukan dia nanti sebagai RO ataupun RT. Publication bersama dengan industri dan IT. Okay. Ni quantiple healing impact. Saya lupa nak masuk dalam executive summary tadi. So dalam keberkesanan, dalam expected output, you masukkanlah benda ni. Society, macam mana you relate dengan output ni kepada society, academia, industri, government and environment. So setengah research tu dia hanya boleh pergi kepada satu. Setengah research pergi pada dua. Setengah research dia boleh pergi kepada keseluruhan. So if I say that what is my impact for the electric thermal compounding, so electric thermal compounding for it going to give benefit to the manufacturing industry, automotive manufacturer, because it will create a new industries. Okay, in terms of the society, or user, the amount of energy, the amount of the fuel going to be reduced, and in terms of the academia, the performance map will be developed. For the government, there will be for example for the carbon emission. Okay, so it will meet the carbon emission policy, and then as well for the environment, it will reduce the carbon emission. Okay, so that's sampling of how that you're going to describe. Yeah. And then patent search, yang ni wajib untuk PRGS. Use lens evidence of patent search, you ada isi borang, kena isi borang tu. And then it show the innovation and the compulsory for all. Yeah. Industrial collaboration, compulsory and priority. Compulsory for the engineering and technology. Masa saya dulu tak ada. Masa saya apply tu, di collaborator, I invite a colleague of mine, collaborator daripada NTU, Nanyang Technological University, Dr. Alessandro, and my supervisor, my ex-supervisor from Imperial College. Okay. Alright, so it's compulsory to have industrial collaboration for engineering and technology, information, ICT, pure and applied science. And dia menjadi keutamaan, priority for the social science dalam domain domain social science, arts and applied science, natural and cultural heritage. Okay, so proof of industrial collaboration adalah letter of intent. Ataupun kalau you ada MOA, lagi baguslah. Okay, dan you kena buat risk assessment, buat SWOT analysis, identify. Dalam risk assessment, identify level of the risk, low, medium, high. Dan dengan 3 type of risk, technical, time dengan budget. Okay, and risk assessment is compulsory. So macam mana nak do the risk assessment? It has to depend on the type of the research that you are doing. Okay, alright. So that's application. Evaluation akan berlaku 2 peringkat, Mohd dan university. Applied, university panel, Mohd panel, and then assessment verification by jawatan kuasa DP dekat JPT. Okay, so dekat university level, you apply using the migrant and then do the presentation. Dekat Mohd, this is RMC akan call you lah untuk do the presentation and pitching ya. So evaluation distribution, 5% completeness of background, 5% problem statement, 50% method. Dulu masa apply dulu dia hanya tulis good, poor, and then very poor, and then good, and then very good. Okay, tapi sekarang ni dia dah sampai kepada ada marking yang kita boleh buat. Okay, so with this marking dengan detail plan yang saya bagi tadi tu, okay, problem statement, methodology, prototype development, all that description akan ada markup tab dia. Okay, alright, so this is our evaluation distributions. Okay, so campur sum up all the markah and then you akan pergilah. Okay, so cuma nak kat sini ya. First cycle you akan dapat score semua. First cycle daripada research grant evaluation, tak kira IPSis ke FRGS, you akan dapat you tak akan dapat recommended. You akan dapat resubmission. Okay, sebab apa? Dia KPT mesti mahukan kita punya evaluation tu adalah rigorous. Okay, so inilah antara masalah kenapa kita tak dapat dulu ya. So sebab ada panel-panel, okay, yang daripada UiTM pada masa itu disebabkan oleh kawan dia hanya cincai je dia punya evaluation. Dan I have to be honest, sebab dia akan memberikan implikasi kepada JPT punya evaluation. So inilah memberikan masalah dekat luar. Sebab masa saya duduk dekat panel evaluation tu, saya dapat paper research proposal daripada universiti luar, daripada daripada USM. I will say that USM apa semua tu mereka menghasilkan research proposal yang lebih baik daripada USM. But actually apa yang kita buat, actually we are in the right track. And I hope dengan apa yang RMC buat sekarang ni, retrain not just the panel but as well the applicant. Our quality of the proposal application is much higher and will be much better than last year punya application quality. Okay, and then to ensure is a rigorous. Kalau kita nampak sekali and then terus highly recommended, memang ada masalah dalam research proposal. Kita ingatkan kita dah bantu, kita bagi highly recommended, but it is not actually. And then that is also lesson learned for me. Apa yang saya dapat, I evaluated one of this research proposal. I just give a recommended, and I think that this is not that good research proposal. But apa yang is different way. Bila sampai kepada KPT panel look different perspective, and then even to bagi recommended, tapi apa yang the comment that we gave memang kalau sebenarnya is quite I would say that is quite tight juga. Komen yang saya bagi kepada the applicant. But alhamdulillah bila present dekat KPT boleh terima. This been sorted, been evaluated by the KPT and then call for the presentation, and alhamdulillah. Okay. So it doesn't mean that the panel UiTM yang bagi highly recommended you akan dapat, dia akan dipanggil dekat KPT. Tak. Okay. So sample of the successful, okay, 66.5 rendah je, tapi this is a good. Bila dia sampai kepada KPT, this is how that sample. And then you have to remember ya. Saya lupa nak update. You update profile. Okay. publications, search index, manager index, okay, and everything. So dalam profile, researcher profile tu kena update. Saya pun lupa nak update untuk tahun ni. Okay. And then yang ini dia tarik auto. So bila panel tengok dia nampak pre-submission ada 3-4 kali minta submission ya. So adalah yang dia betulkan ya. So this is how that dia punya kat belakang, and then how that the budget yang dia tulis. Dia kata 278,000, this is too much. Tak boleh nak ni. Tak turunkan 278 ni. Okay. So budget yang dia dapat dalam 100 lebih lah kan. Okay. Unsuccessful but highly recommended. So this is yang paling penting ya. Walaupun kita rasa that this is good tapi tak dipanggil pun ya. Okay. And then the budget ya, walaupun dah bagi, it's quite good budget. And then sample not recommended. So this is one of the weak research proposal lah. Sebab apa? This research proposal dia punya scope, dia punya perspektif dia tu, dia masih lagi ada elemen-elemen of the element of the fundamental element. Okay. Alright. So program monitoring, migrant JPT, menggunakan JPT scoring monitoring untuk report February dia as December punya progress, August as June punya progress. Gunakan migrant report. This is I know. Saya pun akui, saya pun quite struggling untuk buat migrant report. And antara part yang paling susah adalah financial report lah. So kita nak kena tally-match. So that's why dalam budget tu you kena betul-betul tulis. And then they also going to check on the deliverables. Okay, bukannya saya kata nak takutkan, tapi kalau you confident buat untuk PRGS, I believe that you can do it. Okay, unscheduled monitoring, dia akan buat lawatan mengejut lah actually. Project close, presentation and final report. Okay, apa yang diperlukan, research profile, ini masa final presentation research outcome, you dah dapat apa, IP, index publication. Masa saya present dulu pun, saya tak present, saya be honest. Saya tak bawa saya punya video. Saya cakap apa? Saya tak boleh nak close saya punya experimentation. I cannot give it to you because masa dia orang panggil untuk close the presentation tu, saya punya electric turbo compound ni, because it is rotating. Dia lubricant saya tu, our lubricant untuk ETC tu bocor. So I say that saya nak tunjuk ni, saya malu sebab it's a work tapi dia bocor. Saya tak cantik untuk kita tunjukkan dalam short video. Okay, so video tu pun tak ke mana saya nak show kat you, tapi tak jumpa. Infographic of the research outcome and as well di slide presentation. Okay, research outcome yang ni yang paling penting ni, prototype, but I bring the prototype to them, tunjukkan dah siap. Tapi untuk video tu saya ada video saya kata, tapi nak tunjuk video ni saya malu sebab bocor dia tunjuk tu. Okay, is it working tapi bocor. Short video 3 to 5 minutes ya. Okay, so this slide saya bagi 30 saat untuk you scan. Kalau nak. Okay. Kalau tak, kalau gunakan handphone, use screenshot je yang this presentation, sebab dalam tu kat tepi tu ada Bitly. Saya dah letak dekat Google Drive. Kalau nak download, ambil je lah. Okay. So, dah ke? 30 second untuk you scan. Kalau gunakan desktop atau laptop, boleh scan gunakan handphone. So, thank you very much.
Okay, alright. Thank you very much, Dr. Aman, for that really very detailed punya sharing lah. Evening ni pun rasa macam tengah dengar lecture. Anyhow, okay. I think it will help a few of our attendees to apply to improve their proposal from your experience and sharing session kan. Yes, hope we that will help. So we just kita dah we pas kita punya, you just if you have any question from the audience, boleh just unmute and ask directly. Kita open after kita just will question that untuk Dr. Aman if you have any queries. Kalau tak ada nak type pun is okay. Yes, someone I heard someone.
Assalamualaikum Doktor. Saya Dr. Fadil dari Juruterang Awam. Thanks for the sharing. Just wonder kalau kita tulis dalam bahasa Melayu okey ke?
Rasanya saya ada tengok orang daripada perspektif lain tulis bahasa Melayu. Tapi usually kita dalam engineering ni kita selalu kita tulis English je lah. Okay? Cuma satu, kalau tulis dalam bahasa Melayu, as far as concern, tak ada masalah. Cumanya dia akan memberikan tu lah. Dia actually dalam panel evaluation tu dia ada apa nama tu kita panggil di similarity. Okay, similarity check. Macam yang saya tunjuk tadi kan. Dia ada tunjuk actually similarity check. Kita boleh tak ingat similarity check ni peringkat KPT ke peringkat Mohd, saya tak ingat dah. Sorry, peringkat UA ke dekat ni sekejap similarity dekat saya rasa dekat KPT sahaja boleh tengok similarity ataupun dekat kita tak ingat lah. But kalau kita tulis dalam bahasa Melayu tu lah dia akan similarity index tu tak jumpa. And then I will say that kalau engineering is preferable untuk write dalam English lah.
Lagi satu Doktor yang berkaitan dengan RA tu, since kita punya bajet tadi cuba kita kata kita tak boleh minta untuk RA betul ke?
Untuk bajet
Ya.
Boleh untuk RA tapi bukan untuk GRA, bukan Graduate Research Assistant. Dia bukan untuk GRA, dia untuk PRGS ni dia bajet dia untuk RA dan RO. Maknanya dia bukan untuk graduate student, bukan untuk student master ataupun student PhD. And then masa dia nazir, masa dia lawatan tu dia nak proof, kalau nak pergi detail dia yang kita dapat RA dengan RO ni sebenarnya apa dia punya intention dekat sini, dia memerlukan seseorang yang full time untuk membuat prototype development kita. Dia tak mahukan untuk graduate GRA, student yang part time. Maksudnya student dia bukannya fokus 100% kepada research work kita. Mana kat bajet tadi? Ni. Is not a student. Dia untuk RA, Research Officer dan Research Assistant. Bukan Graduate Research Assistant. Okay. Kalau macam saya buat dulu yang ni student master saya tu baru habis buat FRGS dia. So dia baru habis FRGS dan juga baru habis master. So sedang elok lah. So that instead of ni saya transfer kepada dia je lah. Okay. Sambil dia menunggu dia result everything apa semua tu, tak dapat kerja, dia come for this thing.
Betul, ada satu soalan lagi. Dalam borang PRGS ni, dia ada bagi tahu tentang descriptions of the state of the art including informations on similar product available in the market and existing market size. How comprehensive kita kena buat benda tu
Okay, boleh saya tahu Dr. Fazil working on what kind of the research work?
Material engineering.
Material engineering. So material engineering untuk apa? Application-nya?
Untuk road repair.
Road repair.
Road repair, jalan perbaikan.
Road repair. Okay. So sekarang ni untuk road repair, what kind of technique ataupun what kind of current existing yang digunakan? Contohlah, ataupun if there is any technology that under investigation ataupun under research, dia buat macam mana, and then how that your method will be differ daripada dia orang, and then how that you claim your method is better daripada yang dia. Okay,
yang you nak propose daripada you punya research work ni. Yang you punya prototype tu apa yang differ, apakah dia punya essence. Macam contoh saya cakap saya punya turbo compounding ni, okay. So this turbo compounding is a low torque, and then the main character, the main state of art of this turbo compounding is that from the low pressure, the usage of the high performance low pressure turbine that has been designed to be operated at the optimum level at the low pressure conditions. Okay, so dalam normal punya condition, so dia akan memberikan condition yang lebih rendah dia punya performance. Tetapi dengan menggunakan LPT yang saya gunakan is dedicated for the low pressure conditions. Okay, and then another state of art is that the heat dissipation, the demagnetizing effect has been reduced by introducing of the two stage of the cooling system. So you ceritakan macam mana you the innovativeness yang satu, inovatif yang you selesaikan di dalam teknologi, ataupun kalau you gunakan the state of art untuk you punya research outcome kepada keseluruhan human. Contohnya macam you cakap untuk the solution yang you nak bagi, okay? Kalau saya nak bagi ni adalah electric turbo compounding. So kelebihan this research output, dia memberikan increasing the energy, dia naikkan dia punya performance. So that's another perspective as well. Okay, so I think that you boleh elaborate apakah inovatif ataupun state of art dalam you punya prototype tu yang people dan yang user boleh dapat benefit. So you can see that in two different perspectives. Satu perspektif of the technology itself, satu perspektif daripada user punya needs that you can fulfill. Mana saya letak tadi ya? Yeah, this one. Okay ke, Dr. Fazil?
Okay, yang market size tu macam mana?
Okay, market size. Okay, so kalau you looking on the market size, you tak cakap berapa banyak jalan raya di dalam Malaysia ni ada kan? Okay, you cerita berkenaan dengan player. So because I believe that apa yang you akan ceritakan adalah how many users that going to use your potential component equipment. Probably your users adalah di road contractor. Okay, so road contractor sekarang ni berapakah jumlah spending JKR ataupun kerajaan-kerajaan tempatan yang dispendkan untuk membaiki jalan di Malaysia? Itu adalah market size you. Okay, government keluarkan berapa banyak ada berapa banyak keperluan, kita ada berapa banyak kontraktor, siapa yang selalu gunakan ni, kontraktor kelas F ke, kontraktor kelas B ke, C ke ataupun G ke, macam mana kan?
Faham. Terima kasih Dr.
Okay, right.
Terima kasih Dr. Fadil. Ni ada satu soalan ni Dr. Aman daripada chat box Noriza Muhammad Saad. Dear Prof, regarding on completed grant, is it referred to completed FRGS only or is it possible other related grant? Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, kalau yang lebih mudah adalah FRGS grant lah, sebab dia dah ada recorded kan. Tapi you check dengan RMC, saya rasa yang unrecorded yang macam grant daripada dalaman pun boleh diambil kira sebenarnya. Saya terlupa. Kena tengok balik dalam guideline tu.
Saya mohon tambah sikit Doktor. Untuk jawapan tu, dia ada dalam borang tu, kita boleh tambah. So kita memang boleh tambah kat situ. Terima kasih.
Dimasukkan dalam tu previous, sebab ada juga yang claim grant yang tidak ada budget. Ada juga. Saya pernah gitu. Tapi saya lupa lagi, nak lupa dah macam mana dah.
Ada di pengajian elektrik pernah disambungan daripada PhD pun ada yang pernah berjaya dapat PRGS. Ni just sharing lah. Dia just to kena justify juga kot masa presentation apa semua kan.
Yep.
So
You boleh declare kat situ lah. Okay. Alright.
Okay, I think we stop here lah, Dr. Aman, because it's already 20 minutes past our allocated time untuk masa Dr. Aman juga lah. So,
Okay.
alright. Okay, so just to end this, thank you very much on behalf of the organizer, the Office of Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Innovation. I would like to thank our guest speaker, Associate Professor, Dr. Aman, Muhammad Ihsan, Mamat, and all the audience here also for making this webinar a very successful one. So for now, thank you very much for your time. We hope to see you in other future event. Akhir sekali, saya tutup dengan tasbih farah dan surah Al-As. Subhanallah. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih semua. Terima kasih Dr. Aman.
Thank you.